Olá, eu sou Rodrigo Alzuguir e estou aqui para contar para vocês um pouco do que é essa versão de Romeu e Julieta, a clássica tragédia de Shakespeare, que estamos trazendo na série digital Dellarte. Antes de começar, sugiro que se inscreva no nosso canal para poder acompanhar os próximos eventos da nossa série. Bom, esse espetáculo é mais uma mega produção da New Adventures, uma das maiores, mais atuantes, mais criativas produtoras teatrais inglesas, criada há 3 décadas e dirigida pelo coreógrafo Matthew Bourne. Ele é uma figura tão relevante para a cultura do Reino Unido que recebeu o título de Sir. Uma das marcas registradas de Sir Matthew Bourne é encenar versões de clássicos, seja da literatura, da dramaturgia, da ópera, ou mesmo do cinema, sempre de forma irreverente, desconstruída, repaginada. Ele fez isso com O Lago dos Cisnes, Cinderela e até Edward Mãos de Tesoura, o filme do Tim Burton com o Johnny Depp. Um dos casos mais interessantes é o da ópera Carmen, de Bizet, que pelas mãos de Matthew virou The Carman, o Homem do Carro, com a trama toda readaptada para os tempos atuais. O nosso Romeu e Julieta não foge à regra. Aqui, a ação física e a dança contam a história, originalmente tão verborrágica, de Shakespeare. Tudo acontece num ambiente pesado que remete a um sanatório, ao som da música poderosa do compositor ucraniano Sergei Prokofiev. O elenco numeroso é composto por diversos novos talentos da dança, selecionados por todo o Reino Unido. Aliás, essa é uma preocupação da produtora New Adventures, dar chance ao novo, abrir oportunidades, revelar talentos. Romeu e Julieta estreou em 2019 e foi de cara um grande sucesso de público e de crítica. Destaco aqui um trechinho de uma das dezenas de críticas consagradoras do espetáculo. Segundo o jornal Daily Telegraph, é um entretenimento eletrizante, uma recriação brilhante e inventiva de uma história que fica parecendo cintilantemente nova. É um dos espetáculos mais inteligentes, sexys e empolgantes que Bourne já criou. Quem conversou com a gente foi a simpatia em forma de pessoa Etta Murfitt, que é atriz, coreógrafa, diretora artística associada da New Adventures, e uma espécie de braço direito criativo do Matthew Bourne. Ela nos contou curiosidades dessa versão incrível de Romeu e Julieta, falou um pouco da história da New Adventures, da sua amizade e colaboração com Matthew Bourne, e de como eles levam a sério essa missão de sempre jogar luz sobre novos talentos, estejam eles no palco ou nos bastidores. Convido todos, então, a assistirem essa nossa conversa, lembrando que Romeu e Julieta vai ficar disponível no nosso canal somente até o dia 8 de abril. Então, não deixe de assistir assim que possível. Link na descrição abaixo. Um abraço.
Etta, thank you so much for being here with us. The newspaper The Stage defined Matthew Bourne's Romeo and Juliet as a seismic youthquake, a Romeo and Juliet for a millennial generation. What do you personally find more attractive in this passionate and contemporary reimagining of Shakespeare's classic love story?
Well, with our production of Romeo and Juliet, I think the most important thing is the fact that it is a production full of young people, and young people are full of passion, they're full of naivety, and they're full of strength and courage. And our production of Romeo and Juliet really expresses all of those things that young people have, and especially now in our contemporary version, where you have lots of young people who are really wanting our planet to be good, our politics to be good, and it's really important to try and show that in our production, which we do to a certain extent, I think.
Yeah, great. Can you talk a little about the process of creating the show, since the first idea of reimagining Romeo and Juliet and the other process?
Yeah, sure. So with any New Adventures show, it's usually about 2 to 2.5 years in the making. So first of all, Matthew, I know, it's amazing, isn't it? Matthew tends to think about an idea. So say if it's Romeo and Juliet, thinks about, right, okay, Romeo and Juliet, how can we tell this story? Because we're quite famous for retelling already existing well-known stories. So he'll think, right, how can we do this? And so then the ideas start to happen. And for Romeo and Juliet, for example, it was about thinking, right, let's set it in an institution of some kind. You don't really know in Romeo and Juliet what kind of institution it is, but let's put it in quite a tight scenario so that you can't really do very much apart from being in this institution. So it's like a clear parameter. Then it's thinking about, right, so Romeo and Juliet is essentially about a love story. It's about young people falling in love. So how can we then develop that story? So then what Matthew does is he usually listens to the music, and the music becomes the score. Right. And he starts to work out what kind of storytelling can happen in each little bit of the music. And then the story starts to develop. Then he talks to Les Brotherston, who is his main design collaborator, who designs all our fabulous sets. And then they start to talk about what this place can look like, what it feels like. And then that gives Matt more ideas. And then he starts to talk to me, and we start to talk about what it could be. And also what was amazing on Romeo and Juliet was that we had young associates. So we had a young associate choreographer called Dellarte, who was also brought into those conversations. And so the story starts to develop. So that's about 2 years, in. Then we start to do workshops. So once we've got a scenario, we start to workshop ideas. So we get in a group of dancers. We start to workshop like duets or bigger sequences within the show to see if they work, and to see if they work with the music, and to see how the language of the piece is going to be. And we normally do about 2 or 3 workshops, and then we have a bank of movements, and then we start rehearsing. And we normally, for a new show, have about 6 weeks.
6 weeks left.
Yeah, 6 weeks of rehearsal, and we start to choreograph the piece. So it's a very long process. And also, once the show starts performing, we always are working on the storytelling of the piece. Once it gets in front of an audience, you then start to know if it's working or if the storytelling is clear. And so then we do more rehearsals until eventually we are finally happy. We're always rehearsing them. We never stop, really.
That's great. Your adventure, Etta, is committed to finding and nurturing young dance and creative talents from across the UK. Can you tell us a little how it works, and specifically in Romeo and Juliet, what kind of opportunities have been opened up?
Well, New Adventures we're really keen on finding young talent and bringing them through into the company. And so Romeo and Juliet is quite special because we wanted to work with young dancers, so younger dancers who were already in the company, but also young dancers aged from 16 to 19 who were probably still in some sort of dance training. But also with young associate designer, composer, orchestrator, lighting, choreography. It was all about trying to pull in all of that young talent. So so that's what we tried to do with Romeo and Juliet, and it was really interesting. So Les, our designer, had a young associate. Matthew and I had Ariel, who was our collaborator choreographically. And then all the young casts that were found from all around Britain. So we went all around the UK to find our young casts. And we'd also done that previously before with Lord of the Flies. So that was a whole project that was about young men. So we found lots of young guys all around the UK who'd probably never stepped in a theatre before. And they went on this amazing journey with us. And some of those young men ended up being in Romeo and Juliet, but also in Swan Lake. So, and that was from 2014. So some of them did Lord of the Flies, then went on to train, and then eventually ended up in Swan Lake and Romeo and Juliet. So we're constantly trying to find new talent, and also young people who don't normally get the opportunity to dance, or don't have the money to pay for dance classes, or never go to the theatre. Those are the people that we try and find. And we've now got a new course that we've designed called Signet School, which is trying to tap into those people that we find along the way who don't have any opportunity to do anything, and then we're going to work with them and train with them. So yeah, that's what we're trying to do, trying to find that talent. And it's really worthwhile, because sometimes you find somebody that who never thought that they would end up dancing, and I think that's what's so amazing.
Yeah, the filming of the ballet that the Brazilian public will watch online was directed by Ross McGibbon, considered the master of live dance on film. Was the ballet shot once, from start to finish, or in parts? Can you explain how this filming process happened?
Yeah, so Ross and Matthew like a filmed performance to feel live. So it's always filmed with an audience. But firstly, what will happen is Ross will have a film of the show, and he will go through and he will script it for the cameras. And then we will do one live performance where the cameramen get a chance to practice their shots, and that is filmed. And then Matthew and Ross will watch that and see if the storytelling is working and if we've got the best shots, and it will be changed. And then it's filmed again.
Wow.
That is the main film. So it is completely live. So what you see in the film is what the audience saw that night. And I think that you can tell that when you watch it, that it's a live performance, because you get that energy. Because I think sometimes if you're doing setup shots, you don't get that same sort of emotional performance, because everybody's thinking about what this is doing, and is my hair all right, and did I do that step well? Whereas in a live performance, you're just giving yourself to the performance. And I think that's why, particularly with Romeo and Juliet, I think that's why it works so beautifully.
Yeah. Etta, you joined the company in 1991 and is the associate artistic director of New Adventures. Of all that you have done in the company for the past 30 years, what makes you most proud, with the feeling of a mission accomplished?
Well, firstly, it's my anniversary. 30 years.
30 years. It's not a day.
It is ridiculous. Well, it's a hard question. What am I most proud of? Because I think I'm proud of everything we've achieved, really, because we started off with just 6 people in a van, driving to little theatres, setting up our sets, ironing our costumes, performing, taking everything down and driving off to the next venue. And what we've done is we've learnt along the way how to become a bigger company and work with lots of people, and how to tour, how to do 8 shows a week over long tours. So we've learnt so much along the way. But I think I'm proud of every show we've done, because we've always learnt something amazing. And the thing, I suppose, if I think about it, the thing I'm most proud of is the fact that we've managed to reach audiences that a lot of other dance companies haven't reached. We straddle that world between theatre and musical theatre and straight plays, and we've managed to pull in an audience that would never normally come and see dance. And I think that has been the most amazing achievement, because people don't go to the theatre as much to see dance as much as they do other things. So I think that is what I'm most proud of. I'm proud of our storytelling. I'm proud of the amount of people who have seen the shows. And I'm proud of all the amazing people that have worked with us. And I'm proud of the fact that we can we've learnt, we've reflected, and we've changed where necessary, which I think is really good.
Yeah, that's great. Etta, when was the last time you stepped onto a stage to act or dance in a show? Do you miss performing more often to the public?
I do miss performing. I love performing, but you know, as a dancer, you can only dance for so long. I was really lucky though, because I danced up until I was 48.
Yes.
So I was really, really lucky. But I've also, because I've done a lot of theatre work and I've acted, it means that my performance career has carried on, which has been great. But the last time I actually performed was 2018 into 19, and I was in a show called Wise Children, which is based on a book by Angela Carter, and it's all about music, hall and theatre. And I played one of the narrators in that show, and I also choreographed it as well. So I had loads of lines to learn, and I was trying to choreograph at the same time. So it was amazing, but it was a massive challenge. I loved doing it, and I do really miss performing. I really do. So any opportunity, you know, I'll do anything.
Okay. Etta, can you tell us a little about this great creator, Sir Matthew Bourne, and how does your collaboration with him work?
Wow. Well, Matt, he's a genius. He knows how to tell a story, and he knows how to tell a story without words, which I think is incredible. He can sort of summon up a story, and especially if it's already an existing story, and he can really change it and make it something else, which I think is amazing. And my relationship with him, it's extraordinary, really, because it's 30 years, and not many collaborations last that long, I suppose. But we come from the same part of town in London. We're from working class families, had very similar upbringings. We've got a similar sense of humour. We're both sort of romantic and love a good story. We love, you know, old MGM musicals and old films, and we laugh a lot. You know, we find things funny. There are loads of times where we'll be sitting in a rehearsal and we'll just be giggling because we found just the same thing funny. And I think that's why we work so well together. And I'm a good problem solver. So if there's a problem that we can't quite sort something out in the scenario, or there's something not quite right with staging, then that's what I'm good at. I'm good at problem solving and sort of thinking about what Matt would want. And that's why I think we work so well together. And we both like to have a nice, happy rehearsal room. So I'm always good at, you know, making people laugh and keeping the energy going. And I think that that's really helpful, because if you've got a happy rehearsal room, then you're going to get really good work from everybody, rather than it being all strict and trying to get things done. We try and make it as easy as possible. And Matt is brilliant at that. And he's so clear and direct and lovely to work with. He's not like a classic impresario or anything. He's not that. It's very personable, really easy to get on with. And we want to have fun. And I think that's why the company has such a family feel, and why we get on so well, because we like having a bit of a laugh.
Etta, how were New Adventures activities affected by the pandemic? How are you dealing with this? Is there any future perspective and new project being managed?
Yes, well, we were just about to go up north in the UK to Bradford to perform Red Shoes. Everybody was on trains or in cars going up, and then we were told to stop because we were going into lockdown because of the pandemic. And we were right in the middle of a very big UK tour of Red Shoes, and then we were supposed to be going internationally to China and Japan, and that all stopped. And we had a couple of days where we thought, right, how long is this going to go on for? We don't know. And then
we
we realised,
2 weeks, 1 month.
yeah, exactly. So then we just had to go into sort of emergency action. So we set up a whole load of company classes on Zoom for the company to keep them going. We decided that we were going to put out all the films that we'd made of our shows. We would try and put them out once a month online. We started to, because you could do some filming, rehearsing and filming, but not live performance. So we did 3 different projects with film, which were brilliant. So because the idea was, because New Adventures isn't a full-time company, it's per contract. So as soon as we stopped performing, the dancers only had money for 6 weeks, and then they had no money. So we had to try and find ways of paying them. So we came up with all these projects to try and get them working as much as we could within the pandemic. But we ended up doing great projects. Adventures in Film, which was for 3 female choreographers who each did a film each. We did some duets called Christmas Wish. We did something for the BBC. So we've tried to create projects, and also with our educational work, we've been working with different groups of young people, old people, whoever we can, on Zoom and online. We're doing the best we can.
Yeah,
it's hard. And for the future, it's difficult because everything's moving all the time. So we have lots of plans, but it's difficult to know in which order they're going to go, depending on what happens with the government, what the government say and what the restrictions are going to be. We're hoping to do Carman at the Royal Albert Hall in the summer, and we know we're doing Nutcracker, and we're also doing a new piece, but we just don't know when they're
which
all going
to be the first one.
Yeah, exactly. It's quite difficult because it's all about social distancing. How if you've got a big theatre, you've got to try and fill it, but if you have to be socially distant, then you're not going to make enough money. So it's all very difficult.
It's a puzzle.
It is a puzzle. Yeah, you're right.
Etta, finally, would you mind addressing the Brazilian audience and inviting everyone to watch New Adventures Romeo and Juliet?
Yeah, sure. Hello to our Brazilian audience from Matthew Bourne's New Adventures, and welcome to our production of Romeo and Juliet. It's so emotional and the story is so wonderful. I do hope you enjoy it. And if you do, tell us, write to us, tell us what you think about our show. Enjoy.
Etta, thank you very much for your kindness. You're a very sweet person. And I hope the Brazilian public will soon also be able to watch in person the enchanting shows of New Adventures. Thank you so much.
Me too. Thank you. It's so lovely. Thank you for spending the time to talk to me. It's lovely.
All the best. Bye-bye.